Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be with you today. And I have with me Jessica Kong. I said that right? That's what I have, right? With me, she is an IEP coach who has completed the IEP coach mentorship and is a rock star, fierce special needs mama who is digging into the special education system, not only for her own family, but for families in her community. So for those of you that don't know, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I have a brother with Down syndrome. I started my career as a special education teacher, but I found myself teaching by day and coaching parents by night. And for the last 20 years, I've been coaching parents and school teams on how to build IEPs that work. That led to the IEP coach mentorship, which is where I got to meet Jessica. And I'm super excited for the work that she's doing. Now, you guys can ask us any questions below. We'll get to as many of them as we can, both during our time live here with you, and then we'll follow up and type in some answers later too. But we do have a hot topic today that we're going to talk about. When it comes to special education, we know it's all about data. So we're going to really talk about some of the finer points of data, how to use data, and what needs to happen. But first, I want Jessica to tell us a little bit about who she is. So why did you want to be an IEP coach? I think I already mentioned, if I didn't already, but she's in Alaska. It's one of my favorite places to go. Best coffee ever there. So she's in Alaska, but she does help families outside of Alaska too. She has experience in other parts of the country with that. And then, so tell us a little bit why you're an IEP coach and what do you want to kind of start digging into when it comes to special education data?
Okay, well, my name is Jessica Kong. I am a special needs mom and a special needs sibling. I have a soon-to-be 8-year-old son that experiences autism, has been diagnosed with ADHD, and struggles with sensory processing, obviously, which kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of autistic people. I also have a younger brother who has autism. So I've kind of been in the, special needs world since I was very, very young and didn't really even, know that I was a part of it until my brother got older and I realized that he had autism, Sometimes you don't even realize, you're just like, that's my brother. So I got into learning about IEPs and trying to teach myself a lot about people that have special needs in education because I saw how my brother struggled. He really is struggling even now, trying to continue his education and, find something that he wants to do as a job. And I'm hoping that being proactive, I can help my son and other parents to help their children before it becomes a limited option for them.
All right, so Jessica, before we even jump into data, can I just say, I don't even think that I realized that we had that in common, that we are both special needs siblings. And you just grow up as a special needs sibling, like that is your typical. I mean, obviously my brother has Down syndrome. There's an obvious physical component to Down syndrome. So I always knew I was in the, special needs world in that way. There were, different looks from the very beginning, right? From the community and those type of things, but it's our normal. So maybe someday we're going to we'll see what everybody says. We might have to do a special needs sibling chat and what it really feels like. Because I think parents sometimes assume that we struggle as special needs siblings more than we really do. Like, right? Like I think it's easier for us, being a special needs. Now we have our, concerns. We've maybe dealt with some different issues than other siblings, but there's a positive side to it too. There's definitely this upside. There's this whole different, take on the world, right? Here we are, we're looking to be leaders to change the community for the next generation because we have had a positive, with of course some negative, but positive experiences overall in the special needs community. So, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to jump on that for sure. And for everybody that's like, I'm checking comments and questions here, Jessica. So you start talking about data, and then I'm gonna chime in and see what questions we have about that.
Okay, awesome. So I would highly suggest that if you have a child that is on an IEP, that you are collecting data. I have this little book. I got it at Walmart. It's $1. It has my son's name in it. And I just write little things about his day. If he had a random outburst that's not kind of normal for him, or if there was maybe something that changed in his routine. Anything that you can observe and measure is something that you want to write down, because it's something that you can share with your teachers, things you can share with your therapists, things that you yourself can see and look and be able to tell what causes your child to have bad days, and maybe make their day a little bit better by eliminating the bad, or helping them progress in school, because you can tell the teacher, hey, if this is going to happen, this is what you're going to get. And then the child's not going to learn.
Yes. Yes. And I think it's so important. So you said something really key there is data is anything that you can observe and measure. You know, I'm asked all the time, like, well, what do you mean by data? What do you mean? Because data, you know, it sounds like that you have to have this spreadsheet of information that, you know, is perfectly defined. Now, if you talk to, you know, a BCBA, right, a behavior therapist, if you talk, you know, in the behavior world, there's a whole different level of data that comes when maybe we're troubleshooting a crisis situation, or we've stalled in progress for a while and we're looking at how can, you know, like what's really going on so we can launch forward again. So there are times where we need really, really specific details. But there are times where we need a $1 book from Walmart, right? That we just need to write it down, because we all have mom brain, that we just need to write it down and see some trends and see what's going on. Now, tell me a little bit, is the school keeping any specific data for you, or communicating like in a home to school communication log? Are they doing any of that kind of stuff back for you?
Yes. I have to admit that, you know, my district is very used to me, and they are absolutely amazing. They're very receptive to me. We communicate via email, and we also have a behavior chart that comes home every day. And the teacher is amazing about writing, even just on a little sticky note, caught him chewing on his clothes, 2 or 3 times today. She tries to be specific for me. And, it was after recess or before lunch, or, so that way I can kind of figure out, okay, so he's wanting sensory input before lunch because he's starting to get hungry. Maybe I need to pack him a little bit more for his snack. Or, oh, he's kind of drenching this one particular shirt, right around the collar. Maybe it's the texture he doesn't like. So, it not only does it help the teacher, but it also helps you be able to help your child have a nice environment inside the home as well. And it's great to have multiple eyes on them, because sometimes things that you don't notice, somebody else is going to see.
Right. Well, and what you just described there is teamwork. And, when you have this level of communication, which is not really intense, it's more consistent. That's what I'm hearing, right? It's not that it's like so intense that you're getting a book home every day about him, but it's consistent. So you're going to be able to catch something before it's a crisis, we hope, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to get somebody else's eyes on something, hey, can you watch for this? I've been seeing this at home. So that consistent communication, something that I'm really kind of touching on this school year. I think it's so important, as I'm talking to everybody on Facebook and Instagram and inside the online IEP Help Center, just everywhere, is about having consistent communication and really tackling those awkward conversations, kind of those sticky conversations, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you start to see a trend that he's chewing on his shirt every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and that every Tuesday at 1 o'clock he has, for instance, music class, and if anybody in your district's watching, that's not true. So I'm just making that up, right? I was like, disclaimer, I'm making it up. She didn't tell me that. Nobody panic. But we might say, okay, music class is an issue, and we need to do something for that. Sometimes that means having an awkward or a sticky conversation with the music teacher, saying like, listen, like my son's not really, like he's dreading coming here, or he's on sensory overload before he's coming here. Like there's something in here. Sometimes that's I don't want to say offensive, but it's kind of like it puts the defense up of the teacher. Like, well, this is the class, or I don't know what to do, or maybe he shouldn't be here. Sometimes we have that kind of ugly conversation, right? Well, maybe the child shouldn't be here then, when, instead of looking at what we could do to adapt. So that all goes back to the data piece and really having that consistent communication. Now let's talk about, it is still, basically the beginning of the school year. And you were saying that the honeymoon period is over. Can you explain to parents, because I'm sure there's a lot of parents, especially kind of newer parents, or maybe parents who haven't experienced this for a couple of years, because sometimes we forget what we've been through. What does being like done with the honeymoon period mean for you and your family?
Well, what it looks like for my family is whenever school is coming back into session, Braden is very receptive. He loves the routine. He loves the structure. You know, we've already made sure he knows the people he's going to be working with, so he feels very comfortable in his environment. And so for the first couple weeks, especially here in Alaska, they actually have like 2 4-week like weeks of school instead of like the normal 5 weeks. So it's kind of like a more gradual moving into the school year as well, just because of the way that some of our dates fall. And he'll come home with, you know, his behavior chart, and you'll see, you know, it's kind of a progressive upward slope where it's like, oh, he's doing great. You know, his marks are going up and up and up. And then we kind of reach like the pinnacle point where I'm like, oh man, we've been having some really good scores. And then we kind of crash because it's like, nope, I don't want to be in school anymore. I've been doing it for a couple weeks now. Now it's no fun. And so then we kind of get more into our regular routine, our real routine of the school.
Real life sets in, right? It's like, this isn't fun anymore. You know, I was actually told about this honeymoon period, not when I was a teacher, not as an IEP kind of coach and advocate in that, but as a parent, I went to go sign up my own daughters for preschool. And they were 3 and they were going to this Montessori school. And the teachers straight out said, listen, Montessori is all about independence. Like from the very beginning, they don't really want you walking your child in, or at least the, you know, the school my kiddos went to, right? They, which is kind of the philosophy of independence. They don't want us walking in. They like, we're going to set this routine right from the beginning. And your kid's going to most likely love it. They're going to love the attention. They're going to love the newness. They're going to love the excitement. And then your kid's going to hate it. And they're going to not want to come to school, or they're going to have meltdowns, or they're not going to like certain things. And sure enough, that teacher who, she knew what she was doing. She was a veteran teacher, had been teaching for, you know, like 30 some years. She was right. It hit like week 3, week 4. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, I don't want to go to school all day. Like those toys were great in the beginning, but not so much right now. So for all the families that are possibly struggling with this now, or have had that in the past, or just remember this video when, you know, 2 weeks from now, when your child all of a sudden doesn't want to go to school, that doesn't necessarily mean that something bad is happening there. Right? It doesn't, that's in the special education world, that's our first kind of jump, right? Is, oh, what's going wrong? And I'm guilty of that too. What's going wrong? What accommodations aren't being done? What modifications aren't being done? What therapist didn't show up? Was the teacher out that day? Like we go straight to everything's wrong instead of, maybe honeymoon period's over with that. Although I do want to bring up one thing too, because anybody who has seen me post on Instagram or Facebook or that, I have definitely shared your back to school kind of cover sheet that you did for your kiddo with that. So just, did that go over well with your team? Did they kind of include, what did you put on this sheet? Because it's never too late. I don't care if somebody's watching this video and it is going to be January in the school year. If you've got something that you can do to help the team know your child better, it's always good to do this. So you did this at the beginning of the school year. What did that sheet, that kind of get to know me, have on there?
It had a picture of my son with 2 of his favorite little stuffies. He really loves those. So I wanted to make sure I included something that embraced his personality. You see a real smile on the picture. I included what works for him, which are, you know, like encouraging words, high fives, small breaks, you know, things that are going to help him progress through his day. I put what doesn't work for him, yelling, you know, being very, what people would be consider, I guess, like strict, I guess is the term. That doesn't work for him. He sees strict and, you know, he turns into like a little wild animal. Nope, not going to stay in this cage, you know. And I also put things, you know, about his family on there. You know, he has a brother that he absolutely adores. So I put that, you know, because this is also a big transition year for him. This is the first time that he will not be in school with Big Brother. Big Brother is in middle school now. And so now they will never be in the same school ever again, because Brother will be in high school when he moves forward. So this is a big transition year for us. So I put, he is going to miss Big Brother. He has, you know, loves his mom, loves his dad, has 2 cats and a dog, you know, that he will talk about constantly. It's kind of what he does to make himself feel better if he's feeling anxious. So I was like, be prepared to learn a lot about our family this year. And I also put, some things that maybe they didn't know. He has a Chewy in his backpack. He has other things that he keeps on his person, checklists that I also attach to his backpack and his lunchbox to help him remember things. So I said,
what kind of checklist? Tell me about that.
So on his backpack, Braden has very poor executive functioning skills. It's just kind of one of those things that kiddos with ADHD really struggle with, and Braden's no different. So it's a little luggage tag that I, got at Walmart, the go-to place. And I want to say it was just a couple bucks. I went and created a list, and it says, Braden, please bring home. And it has everything spaced out nice in big letters, my take home folder, my homework, my lunch box, my hat. And, we live in Alaska. So my hat, my gloves, my jacket, and it's printed nice and neat. And then on the opposite side, it has a picture of Braden with me. It says, my name is Braden. I am this many years old. I'm in Miss So-and-so's class. Here's my mommy's contact information if, he happens to be wandering around.
I love it. So I'm actually going to point out too, so often parents wait for permission, or teachers even wait for permission to do things like that. In special education, we're always like, well, am I allowed to do this? Or can I? Yes, do it. Like take that initiative to do that. I have somebody here that asked, Holly asked, how do you get them to be that specific? And that goes back to when we were talking about data, that sticky note or those things. So you just said your district is used to you. I'm going to translate that to Holly and everybody else, because that doesn't mean that you were a bully. Mm-mm. That doesn't mean that you had to make anybody cry. But I'm gonna take a guess here and say that means you are real consistent in what is expected. You're not going away. You're not going to ask 2 times and then go, oh, they never answer me. You're going to ask one way and then another way and then another way. And you're going to keep asking and working towards that solution. And that's actually something that we go through in the IEP coach mentorship, right? Like we go through this is how you document. It doesn't always have to be in a forceful way. There are ways to get to the solution. So to get them to be specific requires consistency of expectations of the team. Do you agree? Yeah? Yeah, definitely. You're just not going away. I know you well enough for that too. You're not going anywhere when it comes to that. So let's see. I know that we have Courtney that's watching with us. So good morning to Courtney in Arizona. There we have April who's watching with us. We've got Michelle who's watching with us. So good morning, everyone. I'm gonna kind of end our data conversation by giving parents a statement that they can make when it comes to decisions that are being made. As we approach kind of that first report card period, some are in trimesters and quarters and all that, but as we approach that first quarter, sometimes changes need to be made, right? Sometimes we have to change a support, a resource, a curriculum, staff, a schedule. Sometimes we have to change things. And all of those changes really should be based on data. Now, I want to really empower and encourage parents to write down this sentence, like stop whatever you're doing and write down the sentence, because here's the thing, when the team comes to you with a change, even if it's casual, right? So Jessica, this as a parent too, when they're like, hey, can I just talk to you for a minute? We were thinking about switching this up. It's like, right, there goes your parent anxiety, switch up what and why and what's going on? You need one sentence. Can you show me the data to support that decision? Can you show me the data that supports that decision? Please show me the data that supports that decision. When you say that sentence, a couple of things are happening. One is you're not disagreeing with them. You just want the facts. And those facts take out some of the emotion, because we got parent emotion and it just happens. That's one of the things that I love, and people say all the time, like, how have you been able to do this for 20 years? And I still, I love it. I love doing this. It's because when you can empower a mom with the words that she needs, or even empower a teacher with the words that they need to talk to the mom, and empower a child even with their IEP document, empowering them to access their education. That's fun. That's rewarding. That's exciting to do that. But to do that, we have to take away some of those emotions. We have to take away some of those fears and anxieties. So giving you buzz statements is super important. And then Jessica, I know like when you're working with parents or talking with them, that's, something where you're saying, go ask the team, right? We talk about go ask the team, ask for the information. So I'm going to leave everybody on that note of, write this down. You need to ask your team when they're making a decision, ask where's the data to support that decision. And for Holly, who asked how you get them to be that specific, well, when you start asking for the data and you keep asking for the data and you make them back up their decisions with the data, you start getting specific information. That's been your experience too, Jessica?
Yes. And then sometimes you can help them along and say, I'm specifically looking for this. And they say, oh, I didn't realize that was a problem. You have to be very voiceful about what it is that you're looking for as well, because the teachers and, the people that are helping your child can't read your mind either.
Exactly. That's such a good point. You have to be, because you care about if your child is chewing on their shirt, where another parent is, like the teacher might go, oh, okay, now I've learned that parents care about if a child is chewing on their shirt, where another parent's like, well, no, my kid will never chew on their shirt. They pick their fingernails.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to be very specific about what some of those triggers and that information is. And then when changes come, when that team comes to you to say and some of these changes are going to be really good, guys. Don't have fear. Don't have fear when they come to you with change. Change can be for a really good reason, or it might be because they really do need a different level of support for certain things. But it's where is the data to support that decision. So, all right, I am going to make sure that everybody has access to your Facebook page. I will tag up I got to go when this uploads to Facebook here. I'm going to go tag your Facebook page here so they can get directly in touch with you if they'd like to work with you. So if you are a parent who really is looking to improve that communication between home to school and needs to know what data to look for and how to get that and what questions to ask, Jessica is your IEP coach to go to for that. She is going to help walk you through this special education system in a positive, proactive way. If you are looking at Jessica and you're saying, I could do that, I want to do that for my community, then you're ready to be an IEP coach. And I'm going to put up here in the link how you can become an IEP coach and join that next mentorship so we can work together and I can help you dig in for your own family, for your own students, and then be that guide in your community, because every community needs an IEP coach. It's such a high level of need, shortening that learning curve for parents, helping them get through the system, helping teachers get the tools that they need, so many different opportunities to really create some positive change. So Jessica, I just want to say thank you for being here and helping everybody out this morning.
Well,
and
thanks for having me.
yes, and I will see you inside of the IEP Coach Network, because Jessica and I continue to work together inside of the IEP Coach Network. And to everybody else, you got 2 action steps. Either A, contact Jessica because you're ready to work with her, or B, come and be an IEP coach. I'll see you guys soon.